We see them all around us, every single day. But have you ever stopped and really wondered how a plant drinks? It's this silent, totally invisible process, but trust me, it's one of the most amazing feats of engineering in the natural world. I mean, really think about that for a second. There are no pumps, no motors, no electricity. And yet somehow water manages to defy gravity, sometimes traveling hundreds of feet straight up into the air. So how on earth does it do it? Well, that's the mystery we're going to solve right now. To get to the bottom of this, we need to start where the plant starts. It all comes down to the plant's basic design and, its fundamental need for water. So every plant is kind of split into two different worlds. You've got the root system, which is hiding out underground, busy absorbing water and minerals. And then everything you see above ground, the stem, the leaves, the flowers, that's the shoot system. It's handling stuff like photosynthesis. Our whole story kicks off underground with those roots. Okay, so let's zoom in and, let's zoom way in. We're going to go down to the microscopic level to see exactly how water gets through the front door of the plant in the first place. So the real heroes of water absorption are these tiny little things called root hairs, and they are just perfectly designed for this job. First off, there are millions of them, which creates a huge surface area to soak things up. Second, each one is wrapped in something called a semi-permeable membrane. And third, and this is super important, the liquid inside them, the cell sap, is way more concentrated with stuff like salts and sugars than the water in the soil. This whole setup is the perfect recipe for a process called osmosis. And here it is, the key scientific principle that makes this whole thing work: osmosis. It sounds complicated, but it's really a basic rule of nature. All it means is that water wants to find balance. It'll always move from a place where there's a lot of it to a place where there's less of it, as long as it can get through a special kind of filter or membrane. And you've totally seen osmosis in action before, probably in your kitchen. If you drop a wrinkly raisin into a glass of water, what happens? Water rushes in to balance out all that concentrated sugar inside, and the raisin swells right up. And you get the opposite effect with a grape in syrup. Water leaves the grape to try and dilute the syrup, and the grape shrivels. The plant's root hairs are basically acting just like that raisin. Here's a closer look at what's going on. That semi-permeable membrane is like a bouncer at a club. It's really picky. The holes in it are just big enough for tiny water molecules to squeeze through, but they're way too small for the bigger sugar and salt molecules inside the root. So because the sap inside is so concentrated, water from the soil just naturally flows in to try and even things out. And just like that, the water is inside the plant. Okay, so the water made it past the gatekeeper. But now it faces its biggest challenge yet, that long uphill battle against gravity. To make this crazy journey, plants use their own internal plumbing system. It's called the xylem. You can think of it like a superhighway of tiny, interconnected pipes. They're actually made of specialized dead cells, and they form this continuous channel that stretches all the way from the tip of the roots to the edge of every single leaf. But a highway doesn't do much good without an engine to move the traffic. So what's the force that's actually pushing this water up the xylem, fighting against gravity every step of the way? Well, it turns out there are actually two forces working together. So there's a little bit of a push coming from the bottom. As more and more water floods into the roots, it creates a small amount of pressure, we call it root pressure, that gives the water a tiny nudge upwards. But this push, it's pretty weak. The real engine, the main driving force, is a powerful pull coming from the top, known as the transpiration pull. So to understand that main engine, we have to travel all the way up the plant, to the very top, to the leaves for the final chapter in our water molecules journey. And that brings us to transpiration. The easiest way to think about it, it's basically plants sweating. Water that has made that long trip all the way up to the leaves escapes into the air as totally invisible water vapor. Now, here is an absolutely mind-blowing fact. Of all the water a plant sucks up from the ground, it only uses a tiny, tiny fraction for things like growing. The vast majority of it, we're talking over 95%, is just lost to the atmosphere through transpiration. It just passes right through the plant and out the other side. And you can actually see this invisible process for yourself with a super simple experiment. If you just tie a regular plastic bag over a leafy branch on a sunny day and come back later, you'll see little droplets of water inside the bag. That's the water vapor that the leaves released, and it's condensed back into liquid. Pretty cool, right? So why would a plant waste all that precious water? Well, The twist is, it's not a waste at all. Transpiration is doing three critical things. First, it helps cool the plant down, just like sweating cools us down. Second, it keeps the cell sap inside nice and concentrated. But the most important job? As each water molecule evaporates from a leaf, it pulls on the molecule right behind it, which pulls on the one behind that, creating a chain reaction that yanks the entire column of water all the way up from the roots. That is the incredible power of the transpiration pull.
So let's put all the pieces of this puzzle together and just take a step back to appreciate the incredible journey we've just followed. It really is this beautifully efficient three-step cycle. Step 1 is absorption. Water gets in through the roots using osmosis. Step 2, conduction. It cruises up that xylem superhighway. And step 3, transpiration. It escapes from a leaf as vapor. And in doing so, it provides the pull that keeps the whole system going. So the next time you look at a tree, don't just see this big static thing. See it for what it is, a dynamic, living system. See the millions of tiny, silent engines on every single leaf, all working together, using the simple power of evaporation to pull life-giving water hundreds of feet out of the ground. It's a process that doesn't just power the plant, but plays a massive role in our planet's weather and the entire global water cycle.